House Bill 1060, Carroll County Sheriff salary.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? You gentlemen standing up for a debate?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is after much prayer and reflection that I stand before you against my county's delegation bill. I'm going to appeal to your humanity and empathy for my constituents in Carroll County and ask you to grant my constituents local courtesy over the officials in my delegation here. This bill benefits one individual in Carroll County, and I have yet to hear from any of my constituency that they support this bill. If anything, I've heard from my constituency that they oppose this bill. My constituents, just like all of your constituents right now, are suffering from the crushing economic inflation that is affecting their mortgages, is affecting their costs of living. And there's a bit of an indignation when my constituents see that we want to raise a publicly elected official's salary exactly 51%. That's $72,000 a year that the sheriff's salary will be raised. And I think that the sheriff is a wonderful person, does a wonderful job. But this is the most inopportune time for Air County to be raising the salary of Air Sheriff $72,000. This is the people's house. And since it is the people's house, the voice of the people needs to be heard. Not just the powerful people. My constituents that are average citizens don't have the money to hire a lobbyist, a fancy suit, or have individuals in uniforms come here with power and influence. But what they do have is their voice. And I'm going to share with you their voice here today so that you will take it in consideration in how you vote on this bill. Here's from a constituent. You are not looking out for the hardworking folks in Carroll County. 3 exclamation points. And what about the retired folks? No way they can keep up with the increases in property tax and everything else. I understand giving raises out, 4 exclamation points, but never 50%. I have never in all my years of working, 54 years, ever heard of anyone getting 50% increase. Additionally, another constituent wrote, I was very lucky to get 3% cost of living every year. Sometimes we got nothing. Another constituent wrote, isn't the sheriff already receiving a pension check from his time with the state police? To receive a pension from the state and still keep earning a paycheck from taxpayers' dollars never made any sense to me. Isn't that double dipping? My constituents are hurting. Your constituents are hurting. And I am appealing to you not to vote for this sheriff's salary increase and allow us as a delegation to come back to this in 2 more years in the second half of this session where we can have a better reflection and understanding of the economy, of inflation, and in the budget. I am a former Carroll County Commissioner. I used to manage this budget. I know how extremely difficult it is. I know how my constituents feel looking at us as politicians raising our own salaries exponentially. It is not right. It is an indignation to my constituents to do this to them. And I kindly and humbly ask you to vote with me against this bill and allow us to revisit this in a future session. God bless you all and thank you very much.
Is there any further debate?
Madam Speaker.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, I do not stand often during session. However, I rise today in support of House Bill 1060. I commend my colleague from Carroll County for standing up and relaying the concerns of his constituents. He is absolutely correct. I do not reside in Carroll County. However, I do have many family members and colleagues, former colleagues, that do reside in Carroll County, none of which has called or contacted me regarding opposition to this particular bill. As a retired law enforcement officer and a former sheriff's deputy in a rural Maryland county, I understand the complexities better than most of the office of sheriff. Rural sheriffs differentiate or differ significantly from their metropolitan counterparts in this state in their responsibilities, to include not only their constitutional judiciary responsibilities, but also their law enforcement and correctional responsibilities within their respective counties. I'm very familiar with this particular sheriff's office and how it has expanded, evolved over the last 10 to 15 years and into the most extreme professional office that it is today. For these reasons, I will proudly be voting green for this bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Gentlelady from Carroll.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, I ask you to consider the facts of this particular bill and why it's here. This bill is here because we go and revisit the sheriff's salary every so often. The fact is, the next person in line in our sheriff's office will be making more money than our sheriff because of step increases that are built into the process. Our commissioners voted unanimously to support this. When this bill originally came in, we were tying it to the lieutenant colonel salary in the state police, which is significantly more. We also had put in an automatic increase. And in our discussions, which was voted unanimously by the entire delegation originally in January. And if anyone would like to see the vote sheet, I'm happy to share it. The commissioners were concerned with the automatic increase. So they requested that we put guardrails, caps, we lowered it a bit, and they were in full agreement with this, 100%. Our sheriff, every county is a little bit different. We do not have a county police chief. We do not have a county police force. Our sheriff is the entire operation of law enforcement in Carroll County. That includes managing all of the staff, all of our corrections, our SRO program, and the training program. So this is not a sheriff where in some counties you have a paid police chief and then you have a sheriff who does a lot of judicial duties. It is completely apples to oranges. So I ask you to consider local courtesy and that you will support my county commissioners and our will as the delegation chair. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Yeah, it's interesting. Outside of Carroll County, people speaking.
Yeah.
Gentlelady from Hartford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just had to comment on the overall processes we're going through. For those of you who are new to this body, there are some things that we just don't do. And that is bring our personal issues, and especially delegation-related issues, to our committees and to the House floor. Especially, perhaps the good gentleman from Carroll has forgotten, when he has specifically requested us Republicans to never stand up on the floor again in writing. You'll remember that letter. Did you enjoy that? I did. Or the time we got the letter that said he was the most progressive person in the entire chamber. The people from Montgomery County were like, what?
On the bill, please.
On the bill. Madam Speaker, this is just outrageous. This was originally a unanimously voted bill. It came to my committee. The consternation came out of nowhere, and I have clear evidence that the good gentleman not only supported the amendment, but said it made the bill better in writing. So, the proselytizing is gross, and I hope this never happens again.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
The chair of the committee. He outranks you. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and with great deference to my good friend from Calvert County. We don't always agree in our delegations. We don't. We don't always agree, and I come from the great city of Baltimore where, goodness gracious, we sometimes really don't agree on some things. But when the vote's taken and the bill is sent to the committee, it's done, the decision's been made, and that local courtesy goes forward, especially in those cases where it is something that specifically deals with the county that cast the vote. I have great respect to all of my members from Carroll County. I do, and I know that there's been a lot of discussion about this debate. But I would ask the body to vote green on the bill because the Carroll County delegation voted for it too. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from
Thank you.
Calvert. This
Thank you,
better
Madam
be
Speaker.
good.
I know I was just outranked, so. Will the gentleman with the objection in Carroll County rise for a question?
No, don't do it.
No? Okay. I've never seen that before. That's a new one. So the gentleman did mention, and this is a serious issue. He mentioned the idea of local privilege. And I agree with them. There should be local privilege. Local courtesy, local privilege. Yet there is a bill in House Bill 81 that would require all counties in Maryland to adopt a charter home rule government. In other words, mandatory. I can't think of something that's more overreaching than that. So for all those reasons, I think it's important to, when possible, to support local governments when they have issues within inside of them that require support, and I'm going to support this bill. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I'll be very brief.
Gentleman from Baltimore County.
Thank you. I just wanted to rise to support the gentlelady from Carroll County and for speaking with our good friend, the country lawyer, the state's attorney from Carroll, who very much supports this bill. So I wanted to back him and this pro-law enforcement. Thank you.
Okay. Any further debate? All right. Clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 124 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1060, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed.